The post, a simple combination of numbers 8647, was shared by former FBI Director James Comey and ignited immediate controversy. Among those who took the post as a potential coded threat was none other than Representative Jasmine Crockett, who wasted no time tearing into what she described as unacceptable, reckless, and inflammatory behavior. Her takedown of Comey was so fierce, so precise, and so emotionally compelling that within just 5 minutes of her public condemnation, the post vanished from his profile. What she said on the House floor, in interviews, and on live television not only silenced Comey but also forced a nationwide discussion on accountability, intent, and the consequences of veiled language in the digital age. The post itself was remarkably minimalistic, just the two numbers 86 and 47. Yet, to anyone familiar with political shorthand, those numbers carried heavy connotations. 47 is widely understood as a reference to Donald Trump potentially becoming the 47th President of the United States, should he return to office. The number 86, on the other hand, is slang that originates in the restaurant industry but has come to mean to get rid of, to cancel, or in darker interpretations, to kill. When paired together, the sequence 8647 was interpreted by many as a call or suggestion to get rid of Trump, or worse, a veiled threat implying harm or assassination. This interpretation immediately set off alarm bells given the highly charged political environment and the history of threats against political figures. What made the situation even more volatile was the source of the post. James Comey is a figure with a long, complex history in American politics and law enforcement, once hailed as a stalwart defender of justice, especially during the investigations around Trump's presidency. Comey has also been a polarizing figure. His stature as a former FBI director lends immense weight to his words, and any hint of threatening language coming from him is especially disturbing. It signaled a dangerous blurring of lines between official influence and incendiary rhetoric, and that's exactly what Rep. Jasmine Crockett seized upon. Crockett's response was nothing short of fierce. Known for her sharp intellect and unwavering commitment to justice, she immediately framed the post as not only reckless but potentially criminal. She highlighted how political communication has evolved into a realm where cryptic messages can serve as dog whistles, coded language that may incite violence while allowing the speaker to claim plausible deniability. Crockett was clear: this post crossed a line, and it demanded scrutiny. "We are not dealing with mere political expression," she declared in her live address. "We are confronting a possible incitement to violence from someone who once held one of the highest law enforcement positions in this country." Her condemnation went beyond mere words. Crockett pointed out the real-world consequences of such ambiguous yet threatening language. She drew connections between the post and a noticeable uptick in violent threats circulating online shortly after it went live. She cited reports of extremist groups and individuals referencing the 8647 post as justification for aggressive rhetoric and potential action. This was not abstract political drama, this was a message with consequences. Crockett's ability to tie the post to actual threats underscored the urgency of her call for accountability. In her address, Crockett also invoked legal standards and precedents. She reminded viewers that threatening a president, past or present, is a federal crime. She argued that while Comey may attempt to hide behind ambiguity or claim that the numbers were taken out of context, the timing, platform, and public nature of the message made it a matter for serious investigation. Crockett pointed out that the law does not require a direct statement to constitute a threat. Sometimes context and interpretation are enough to raise suspicion and trigger inquiry. She questioned why someone like Comey, who had led the FBI, would be exempt from the same standards applied to any other citizen. What followed was a masterclass in political confrontation. Crockett produced a printed screenshot of the post during a televised hearing, holding it up for lawmakers and the public to see. She emphasized that this was not about partisan politics or personal vendettas, but about safeguarding the principles that underpin American democracy. When a former law enforcement chief sends a message that can be reasonably interpreted as a threat, it undermines trust in our institutions and our rule of law, she said. Her words were powerful and unyielding. We must not allow threats, veiled or otherwise, to be normalized or dismissed as harmless memes. The political fallout was immediate. News outlets across the country picked up the story, dissecting the post and Crockett's fiery response. Legal experts debated whether Comey's post could be protected under free speech or if it constituted a criminal threat. Some commentators argued that the message was deliberately vague to avoid legal trouble, while others felt it was irresponsible and dangerous. Social media exploded with hashtags like #86gate and #ComeyControversy trending worldwide, reflecting the polarized yet engaged public reaction. Comey himself remained silent at first, neither clarifying nor defending his post. But within 5 minutes of Crockett's televised condemnation, the post mysteriously disappeared from his Instagram account. To many, this was an unspoken admission of wrongdoing, or at least recognition that the backlash was too strong to ignore. The swift deletion added fuel to the fire, prompting even more questions about Comey's intentions and respect for public accountability. The silence spoke volumes and only bolstered Crockett's claim that his message was unacceptable. Crockett's final remarks during her address were a defining moment. With unwavering seriousness, she challenged Comey directly. "You may think your influence grants you immunity, but your words have power and consequences. If your post was a threat, it is a threat that cannot go unanswered. Democracy cannot survive if those who have held power use coded violence to undermine it." She called for immediate investigation and insisted that Comey be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. "Put him behind bars if necessary," she urged, "because no one is above the law, not even a former FBI director." This was not a knee-jerk reaction from Crockett. Her approach was measured yet firm, mixing emotion with clear legal reasoning. She reminded the public that free speech is not a license for threats or intimidation, especially when coming from those who have been entrusted with safeguarding the nation. Her ability to articulate the danger of coded political language in a highly charged climate made her intervention a defining moment of the controversy. Beyond the legal implications, Crockett also framed this as a moral issue. She spoke passionately about the erosion of civility in politics and the danger of allowing implicit threats to become commonplace. "When we allow threats disguised as memes, we normalize violence as a tool of political discourse," she warned. "This is not the America we want to live in." Her call to action extended beyond Comey, challenging all political leaders and public figures to recognize the power of their words and the responsibility that comes with influence. The public response to Crockett's stance was overwhelmingly supportive. Many praised her for speaking truth to power and refusing to allow a high-profile figure to escape scrutiny. Even those who disagreed politically acknowledged the importance of her message. Some critics accused her of overreach, arguing that the numbers were ambiguous and open to interpretation. However, the consensus among legal experts and public watchdogs was that such a message deserved a thorough investigation given the context and potential consequences. As the debate continued, the Justice Department came under pressure to respond. Calls for an official inquiry into Comey's post increased, with several lawmakers referencing Crockett's speech during committee hearings. Though no formal charges had been filed at the time, the situation highlighted the growing concern about how social media is used by influential figures and the need for clear standards on what constitutes a threat versus protected speech. The incident also reignited discussions about political accountability and the role of public figures in shaping discourse. Crockett's confrontation was a vivid reminder that words, especially from those with significant platforms, are not harmless. In a time when misinformation, conspiracy theories, and political violence are rampant, responsible communication is more critical than ever. Crockett's handling of the situation showcased her leadership qualities, her ability to confront uncomfortable truths and demand accountability regardless of the power or fame of those involved. She didn't hesitate to challenge a former FBI director, knowing full well the political risks and potential backlash. Instead, she chose to stand firm on principles of justice and safety. This event also serves as a case study in how political communication has evolved in the digital era. The use of coded language, memes, and ambiguous symbols as political tools complicates traditional methods of interpretation and enforcement. Crockett's response illustrates the need for lawmakers and legal authorities to adapt to these changes and consider new frameworks to address threats in an online context. Moreover, the incident prompted reflection on the broader culture of political threats and intimidation in the United States. The recent past has seen a troubling rise in violence and threats against elected officials, underscoring the fragility of democratic norms. Crockett's firm stance against Comey's post was a clear message that such behavior will not be tolerated, regardless of who it comes from. The deletion of the post, while a small act, symbolized a concession to public pressure and a momentary victory for accountability. However, it also left many unanswered questions about intent, responsibility, and the boundaries of political expression. Crockett's demand for transparency and investigation remains a rallying cry for those who believe in upholding the rule of law and protecting democratic institutions from implicit or explicit threats. In the aftermath, Crockett has continued to speak out on the issue, using the incident to highlight the dangers of political extremism and the importance of ethical leadership. Her message resonates in an era where the line between political rhetoric and incitement is increasingly blurred. Her courage in confronting Comey serves as a beacon for those who seek a safer, more respectful political environment. This episode reminds us that vigilance is required to preserve democracy, not just in actions but in words. The power to influence millions comes with an equally powerful responsibility to use that influence wisely and with care. Jasmine Crockett's swift and unyielding response to James Comey's Instagram post serves as a crucial example of holding even the most powerful accountable and ensuring that freedom of speech is never used as a shield for dangerous threats. If you found this exploration insightful and want to stay informed on the most pressing political stories and controversies, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support allows us to continue delivering in-depth coverage and fearless analysis of the moments shaping our world today. Together, let's hold our leaders accountable and keep the conversation honest and transparent.